from the deepest depths of the dark web, Radcast presents Dark of the Night. From the deepest depths of the dark web, with your hosts Eric Earwood and Alex Myers.
He's not an alien force already among
Hello, Nightcrawlers, and welcome to another episode of Dark of the Night. As usual, I'm your host, Eric Yearwood.
And also, as usual, I'm your host, Alex Myers. It's a cool 69 degrees here in Gowanus, Brooklyn, center of liberal America.
And we've got an exciting show for you, folks. We are talking tonight about an important topic. We're talking about Hollow Earth theory.
Hollow Earth theory is something that's interested me for a long time, Eric, because I, as a resident of Earth, I think everything involving the Earth is interesting to me.
Yeah, as a fellow traveler on the planet Earth, I'm also interested in its well-being and in its makeup, I suppose.
As long as it does not involve me changing my habits.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, what is the Earth made of? What are we made of? But more importantly, what's the Earth made of?
No one really knows for sure. They can't get probes down there. They can't drill deep enough.
Yeah, the core, I mean, don't get me wrong, it starred Hilary Swank, but that movie is ficciones.
Yeah. What's really going on? Well, we're going to talk a little later about this in depth. But right now, I think that it's important to kind of like think about some of the metaphorical aspects of what's inside the Earth.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a keystone, if you will, to understanding Hollow Earth theory. Before you get into the deeper facts, and we will be checking in with an expert named Professor Student soon on that. But
yeah.
But what is Hollow Earth theory? There's a very simple keystone.
Yeah.
So, what do you imagine? Let's bring up our first graphic. What do you imagine when you think of the Earth's core, according to, let's say, a jerk-off middle school teacher who's just reading from a science book?
Yeah. Well, the common understanding or theory about what the Earth is made of is you've got, it's simple. You've got an outer crust. Mm-hmm. You've got layers of kind of progressively more liquid layers until you reach a molten core.
Mm-hmm. Now let's call that the not hollow Earth, and that's our everyday understanding, and it's also I'm leaning towards it's probably bullshit. So that's our A option. Our B option, much more interesting and much more good, is what we call the hollow Earth. So the way I like to imagine that is that you basically scoop out all the bullshit and you're left with nothing but good stuff, which is just a nice big hollow center. So, Eric, Eric and I were thinking about how our lives aren't good, and our lives are sort of hollow.
Yeah.
And so we thought we could use our lives to explain the difference between a not hollow Earth and a hollow Earth.
You know, it's funny because some people out there who've watched the show in the past have accused us of being sort of self-obsessed. And so they might say, oh, you guys, you're using this hollow Earth theory as a way to talk about your personal lives. But, you know, these are the only lives we know, and this is our lens through which we see the paranormal. So I think it's an appropriate thing to kind of discuss this.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you look back at Aristotle,
Galileo.
Yeah, Aristotle and Galileo, the two main scientists. What were they talking about? They were mainly talking about their personal lives. Galileo wrote a whole book about his hat.
And Socrates was like, when he was drinking the hemlock.
Yeah, he was like writing down like I'm dying.
Yeah. It's like, get over yourself. But
also don't, because we're not going to.
no. So I think that one of the things when I think about this difference between the common understanding of what's inside the Earth, and then I think about hollow Earth theory, is I think about, and I start to apply that to my life, and maybe what's good and appealing about a hollow Earth is I start to think about, okay, if my life were full, well, what does that look like? Well, one of the things that it looks like is it would look like going out to dinner with my peers, people that are my age, and maybe like going to a decent restaurant, drinking a glass of wine. And then I contrast that with what my actual life is like, which is sort of like the hollow Earth. And what that looks like is playing Overwatch on Xbox with a bunch of teenagers or preteens screaming profanities and homophobic slurs in my earpiece.
And also racist slurs. And I don't know, some might say it's not a good thing. It's not a hopeful thing that it seems that all children are racist when they play video games. But I don't know. I think it's
growing pains.
Yeah, it's growing pains. All children go through a permanent racist childhood.
Now, Alex, what would your life be like if you think about it as like the hollow Earth?
Well, when I think of what my life would be if it were not hollow, here's an example. I think about my job. I think maybe I would be happy with my job. I would be satisfied with work. I would be happy to talk with my coworkers. That's the not hollow Earth version of my life. The hollow Earth version of my life, the empty version of my life, is the reality, which is that instead of going to meetings, I sit in the bathroom and I just sit in there. And sometimes I do shit, but other times it's just sitting. So, and I think about what, I think about how things aren't going well. So that's the not hollow Earth.
Right.
But I think there's even more to dig into on your side of things.
Well, I guess if I were to go a little deeper, I guess if I were looking at the not hollow Earth, a full Earth, you'd say, and a full life for me, another dimension to that would probably be having good credit so that I could buy a car or buy a house and kind of live independently. But the not hollow Earth, the hollow Earth, which is more like my life, is there's a big zero, and that's my credit score. And so I have opened about a dozen bank accounts under assumed aliases, and I have to wear a disguise every time I go into the bank and try and get a check cashed.
It looks like you're robbing the bank.
Yeah.
Is that actually you?
Well, there's a gray area where I'm asking in sort of a very assertive way, and I am wearing a mask in the bank. I don't think that I was not carrying a weapon.
Right. But you go in and you wear a mask and you just ask for money.
I just say, give me $500. And then I give them a check, but the check is just a piece of paper that says $500 in pen or Sharpie. Yeah,
when I get tired, I'll go into a bank and ask for money. But on my side of things, when I imagine my life, if it were not hollow, I guess I imagine me telling my sons I love them. That's the fiction version of my life. I guess you could say the hollow, truthful version of my life is that I sit on a bench by myself while the kids are at my ex-wife's house. And that's it's very interesting. That's the way things are. That's the hollow Earth. That our lives sort of reflect the truth of the matter. And they call it hollow Earth theory, but I think they should call it hollow Earth fact fest.
Yeah, it's like Red Lobster. are they? It's a theory that when you go there, you get great buttermilk biscuits, but everybody knows that that's not just like, oh, maybe they're gonna have it.
Yeah. I mean, they should call it. They should change the name of Red Lobster to the fact is that everything here it tastes good.
Yeah.
And that being said, Brian, let's go into our first music transition. And
Hollow Earth Theory. Hollow Earth Theory. Hollow Earth Theory.
So next up, we have a visit with our expert, Professor Student. Now, a quick, how you doing tonight, Professor Student?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, 7 years ago, Eric and I went out on a limb and we took a $20,000 loan out of a bank and we started a university called the Dark of the Night Institute.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And it was meant to be a paranormal research center that was based around all of our best ideas. Unfortunately, we only had one person enroll, and that person, they not
That's
only
me.
enrolled, they applied for a job. So we made that person a professor and a student simultaneously, and that person is Professor Student.
And Professor Student, thank you for continuing to pay tuition on time. For 7 years.
Thank you for paying me. You pay me, I get to pay tuition.
It's sort of a perfect circle of you handing us money and then us giving it back.
Isn't it? I think it works for me.
It's almost, if you think about the kind of the rhythms of the universe, it's like a spherical orbit, much like our topic tonight.
Hollow
Yes.
Earth Theory. And the other thing I was thinking is it's sort of like the rhythm of the night.
It is the rhythm of the night, guys. And do you guys know about the Hollow Earth? Like, have I taken you guys around the map?
No, what Nightcrawlers, by the way, we've enlisted Professor Student to be our deep research guru.
Yeah.
So Professor Earth, we'd like you to take us into some of the hard facts about Hollow Earth theory and kind of walk us through some of the things you've learned.
Show us around the place.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know out there, Nightcrawlers, I have a nano computer that is capable of reaching all types of deep web articles, including the Marianas Web, the deepest part of the deep web. And this is what I found so far in my research. This is a map of Agartha. Agartha is the name of the city that resides within the Hollow Earth. It's what they call it.
Now, is it... Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to remark on the fact that that's a very attractive map. It
Yes.
looks similar. There used to be a pizza place when I lived in Gainesville, Florida, called Mellow Mushroom, and their
Okay.
artwork on the walls looked very similar to this style right here.
See, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, this is almost like a 1980s newspaper comic.
Or like a Genesis back cover, you know?
Yeah.
And they have like they have like you know, if you really dig deep into like the studio credits, you see that Eric Clapton did a solo at one point.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Genesis with Peter Gabriel as the frontman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I true story. Last night I watched a clip from Phil Collins' final tour, where
Okay.
he played "In the Air Tonight."
Yeah.
And
Favorite song.
what was sort of very compelling is it started out backstage with Phil Collins, and you're like, okay, when's he going to start playing an instrument? But then he just walked out on stage and was pretty much doing the same thing he was backstage, which was just kind of walking around without his arms moving. And I thought that was a good concert.
Yeah, and you know what that reminds me of? When I think of like Peter Gabriel and like people walking around, I think of the layers of the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You guys were talking about the layers of the quote unquote so-called regular Earth. What is regular nowadays anyway? But I mean, let's take a look real quick. I want to show you guys something.
Yeah,
I
please.
don't know if you see right here. There's only really 4 layers in the Hollow Earth, in our current Earth.
Okay.
We got plastic basalt. This little gray guy right here.
Yeah.
A lot of plastic just floating around. That's why our seas are actually filling up with plastic. It comes from inside of the Earth, not from.
So all those bottles, the bottle islands, are coming from the Earth.
Absolutely.
And all those rings that go around Coke 6-packs.
That comes from the Earth. That's grown. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that it's like made at a factory.
So corporations are actually mining this wonderful natural resources, which are plastic bottles that are just being thrown out of the earth.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of the nature of Agartha. Agartha has a central sun, which is made out of like methane and sulfuric gases, which it makes it maintain a constant homeostasis of about 75 degrees.
So what we're looking at is we're looking at an outer layer, which
Yes.
is kind of just basically like an empty crust.
The outer layer is made of sediments, so like rocks,
And
mostly.
and then inside there's a sun, you're saying.
So we go sediments,
Right.
granite, basalt. Then we got the plastic basalt, and then you go deeper underneath that, you find the sun.
Perfect. That's my. I don't know if this makes any sense, but I want to say that's my perfect Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would agree with you, especially the Nazis.
Did you say Nazis, Professor Stu?
Well, that's
Yes.
and it's funny because I got excited for almost. I don't want to say a full second, but I pulled back real fast when I realized what I had heard and agreed with.
Yeah, I mean, within my research, I was able to find out and get to the bottom of where Hitler's disappearance really went. Like, where did he go? Because, I mean, everyone knows the lie that we were told that he had killed himself. But in
Yes,
fact,
that's
he
not
actually
possible.
found...
That's one of the darkest lies.
Yeah, he actually found a hole through Antarctica into the center of the Earth. And that's where him and a lot of his scientists and military personnel went after World War II.
And that's an evocative image, isn't it, Eric? I mean, here's Hitler in his bunker.
Yeah.
What's his name? His commandant takes the cyanide
Kevin.
pill.
Kevin.
Kevin the commandant, his number 2. And Geordie LaForge and Data are all taking cyanide pills. And you'd think Hitler would say, "Me too, Geordie and Data," and Captain Kevin Commandant.
And they take off for Romulus.
Yeah, but what he said is, "Peace out," and then he sprinted to Antarctica.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when Hitler, let's just kind of imagine kind of what this is looking like. Hitler shows up in Antarctica. He's covered
Yeah.
in polar bear skins, and he just finds this gaping hole in the center
Yep.
of the Earth. And then how does he get down there? Is he just kind of rappel in?
Well, as a lot of people know that he was also into Sumerian and esoteric and occult belief systems, and within that research, he himself found how to create his own Vimana, which is a flying machine. So it's said that a lot of the Vimana and a lot of the UFOs that we do see actually come from inside the Earth. So this is something that has already been part of our old knowledge for a long time, and I think Hitler was just lucky enough to find the last bits of it.
I mean, when I think of Hitler, right, I think probably 3 things at once. 2 of them are bad.
Yeah.
One of them is good. And I of course the bad things are on top, right?
Yeah.
Murderer, right? That's 1. 2, evil man. 3, lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have found this.
Lucky
Yeah.
to have found this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that this is where the original, I guess, landmass that housed Atlantis actually belongs in the inside of the Earth, and which is why we have never been able to discover it, because it's actually been underneath us the entire time.
I've always wondered where Atlantis really belonged.
I know. I mean, if you look at this map, I'll take you guys around it real quick.
Sure.
You can actually track the path that a lot of people might have taken to make their way into this hollow Earth.
Okay.
And I think it mostly starts in this Kentucky Mammoth Cave. The fact that a lot of people don't know about Kentucky in general, and the fact that people don't know that...
Mitch McConnell State, so A+ out
yeah,
of 10.
Mitch McConnell State. And it's very good because it also has one of the only American gateways to this hollow Earth. Let me show you real quick what I found.
So that's why Mitch McConnell picked Kentucky to be born in.
Yeah. And this is the Mammoth Cave itself. This is what it looks like inside.
Now that looks like the kind of place that you could make like a great pizza. So one of the
Yes.
things that I'm wondering is why are we eating so much fattening fried foods when you could just bake some great margarita
Welcome to
off of
Mammoth
those hot
Cave,
rocks
the
down in that
longest-
cave.
I mean, yeah, you can get a couple of these hot rocks here. I'm going to take you guys to a
The
live
historic
feed right
entrance
now
is
of
actually
Mammoth
a
Cave.
natural
And, I mean,
sinkhole.
it just looks
Many
like a place
sinkholes are
that's
present
good
in
for
the
just
Mammoth Cave
making
area,
baked
and
goods.
hundreds more
It's a weird
occur in the
live feed.
sinkhole plain to the southeast.
Yeah, it's only live feed with
Walking into
B-roll
Mammoth
shots.
Cave's historic entrance
It's a
leads
live
one
feed
into
with
Houch's Narrows,
with a PowerPoint.
named after the
Yes, but as you can
vixologist
see right here, this is where it all goes down, guys.
Okay.
Fat Man's Misery, the bottomless pit, the wooden ballroom.
Fat Man's Misery?
Yep, tuberculosis hospital ruins.
And so I'm wondering, did the Nazis come up with all these names?
I think that they were already named prior to even our modern civilization discovering them.
I imagine that being very frustrating for Hitler. Probably every 10 steps he wanted to name something.
Yeah.
Right? So he's just like, I'll call this place Hitler's Fortress. And it's just like...
And they were like, too late.
Yeah, Talking Bee or something nearby. It's like, this is Fat Man's Misery.
Yep. I mean, a lot of these places we are reappropriated in modern society. Like, as you see right here in Mammoth Cave, there's actually a canal called Broadway and another one called Gothic Avenue. And there's also a Methodist church. So think about that.
Good for the Methodists is my main reaction.
I mean, Methodist, one of the oldest religions to ever roam the earth.
Yeah. Well, that's really fascinating. There's so many parts of this story that I just kind of like want to sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
Especially the margarita pizza.
The margarita pizza.
A grandma
sounds-
slice.
Both of those sound fantastic. Lee, you talked about the fact that there are these Nazi civilizations down there. Now, I'm kind of wondering,
Yeah.
are they still? Is everything still run by Nazis down there? And if so, how's it going? And if not, like, what's the kind of ideology down there?
I think that they were just simply a visitor, a short-term visitor.
Oh.
Because for the most part, the people that live within the Hollow Earth are a far advanced civilization, far advanced than we could ever imagine.
Okay.
I mean, there are some ancient astronaut theorists that believe that the Hollow Earth is where actually all UFO extraterrestrial life forms come from. And there is no other further life outside of this planet because everything lives within. They would look different. It's darker, so they would be lighter skin. They're under more intense gravity. Being on the inside of the Earth, they're a little bit shorter. Their heads are a little bit bigger.
So it sounds like their ideology might be, Jesus, there's so much gravity down here.
Yeah, it's very heavy, but it's very beautiful.
Yeah, like Hitler got down there, and the Nazis who were with him were like, okay, what system of government should we have? And he was like, I'll tell you what system of government we're going to have. I feel like I weigh 1,000,000 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder if Hitler was like, well, the gravity is so intense here, I'm going to get sucked into that hot sun that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I mean, he thought he was going to get sucked into the sun. As you see here, also, there's a lot of things going on in the inside of the Earth. There's the city of Shambhala, which is where all UFOs come from this giant octopus, and there's clouds. So Hitler might have been a little caught up.
What? Wait, could you go back to the giant octopus?
Yeah, the city of Shambhala, which is also oftenly confused for the city of Agartha, which are two different places. Agartha is the name of what you would call their planet within.
Demystify us here, because we are getting a lot, right? I mean, this is, it's a proud moment for me and Eric tonight to hear that our only professor and only student, who's the same guy, has done so well at the Dark of the Night Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these are things we did not teach him, believe it or not.
Yeah, he taught.
Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, it's
It's the moment that makes me feel like doing this every week is almost worth it.
It makes me want to wake up tomorrow and just graduate high school all day.
Yeah.
But that is to say, but the point being, professor, student, demystify this, because a lot is coming at us and the night crawlers right now. So we're hearing that there are multiple cities in the Hollow Earth.
Indeed.
So can you tell Eric and I, in a bulleted form, a shortened form,
Sure.
what are the main cities?
Okay. Yeah, that's easy. So right here, if you look at this map that I'm pulling up, they have one city that's just called City. Then they have another city that's also just called City.
Yeah, why come up with anything else?
They're just so far advanced they no longer need words to describe their places of inhabitants.
And I don't want to derail us, but that name for a city is almost a fuck you to anyone with an imagination.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's so many special, spectacular things going on all the way around you. You must think like,
Yeah.
hey, the only way to really like make a splash is to make it our name so ironic that everybody's just like,
It's
cool.
it's
I
like
guess.
it's like the White Album.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they had probably named 3 or 4 cities, and the first few cities were more like poppy names,
Or like puns.
Right. And Ringo was helping name them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me take you on a quick little tour of the inside and all the towns and all the cities we got.
Sure.
So we do have the city of Shambhala. We have City 1 and City 2.
Good.
Okay. We have Agartha, which is the entire landmass, right? And then we have a forest, as you can see right here, surrounded by the central sun. We have an ocean, also not named, it's just called Ocean. Then we have Rainbow City. Now, Rainbow City is an interesting place because it's one that I have never really delved into. Because, for one, I'm mostly scared of what I might find. So you have Rainbow City, but then you also have Cave City.
Now, why is that?
Rainbow City is interesting because that's where the Aurora Borealis actually comes from. It comes from the gases released within the Rainbow City. So I'm just not really keen on trying to find out what really goes on there.
How do you get into the Hollow Earth and not be so overstimulated that you instantly start throwing up?
Well, it takes a long time to get there. If you think about it, you essentially have to walk through layers of what we think is our current Earth to then get to the Hollow Earth. So let me show you something real quick. At the top of this map here, you see this height of the atmosphere, 200 miles, right? That little space right there is only 200 miles worth of distance. Everything past that, that's a lot of 200 mileses. So it takes multiple 200 mileses to get into the Agartha. And then who knows how many more 200 mileses you have to go.
So, and I'm imagining, so in terms of being overstimulated,
Yeah.
I mean, so this is how I'm imagining you get to Hollow Earth. You lay down flat, like sort of like you've been shot or something, like you're
Okay.
just perfectly face down on the ground in a very unnatural way. But then you just start making the movements of walking, and then all of a sudden you're walking through the earth.
Right. It's kind of
Ah.
like Mike Myers does the kind of, he walks behind the couch. You do the thing behind the couch where you're going down the
Right.
stairs.
Or like
Yes.
that little elevator trick.
Except you're laying horizontal to the floor, and then you walk through the earth.
Yeah, and it almost looks like a GIF animation, just like a looped animation.
Yeah.
Just like moving down through layers of earth for hundreds of 200 miles is. Mm-hmm. And then so what I'm thinking, Eric, is that most likely you are so understimulated from essentially being having the amount of movement that an imp from Doom has for maybe a year to get through that many 200 miles is that when you finally get to the amount of stimulation that that the Hollow Earth holds, you're just ready for it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you're pretty pumped by the time that you get through even the base layers, because I mean, there's a lot of things on the way down to look at. I mean, if you see here on this map, we have lakes, okay? We have molten basalt. We have volcanoes. Like, there's a lot of beautiful things. King Solomon's mines that go all the way down. The Pyramid of Giza. Who knows what else they built underneath that? And then we have this, the quote-unquote test atom bomb blast. There's just a lot of sightseeing to check out on your way to the Agartha.
You know, there is so much to dig in here. This is such fertile soil, as we say, right? yeah, guys. That I think we're going to want to kind of come back to this and dig in a little deeper to all these things. But right now, Professor Stewart, we're going to check back in with you in a little bit.
No doubt.
And we want to do something special tonight because we don't usually have any sponsorship. But tonight, we actually have a sponsor for once.
And it's a good one.
It's a good one. This is M&M's. We're being sponsored by M&M's tonight.
So, I mean, I am I am such a huge fan of M&Ms. They changed my life.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how, and if we could just cut to my camera for a second, I cannot tell you how much I believe in this product. When I was born, I can't remember back then, but I think I knew that there would be something wrong most of the time for me. And M&Ms turned out to be one of the right things.
I remember when I was a child and E.T. came out, and he was eating the Reese's Pieces, and I was like, no! And I cried all the way home. You remember that?
Yes.
And I was screaming because...
I wasn't there. I saw the tape.
Right. Because my parents were filming it because they were trying to get on America's Funniest Home Videos, and we did win. And then my dad left the family, but nevertheless, it is a great candy. And we're gonna cut the commercial here. Let's
Sort of an exciting moment.
take us away.
I feel like I wanna be feeling. Look at the smile on my lips. I've got that M&M's feeling right at my fingertips. So carefree, they fit in plan. Milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand. You wanna grab on to that M&M's feeling.
I mean, that was...
M&Ms are a great candy that have been around forever.
Great job, guys.
Thank you, Professor Student.
And here's the reason. Because you pop it in your mouth, and you just want more.
You can't fill your hands or your mouth fast enough with this stuff.
One bite of M&Ms will make you say, "Hey, Santa, let's open another bag."
Take a whiff and smell the hard candy shell and chocolate interior.
M&Ms, they aren't hollow.
There's chocolate in them.
So we have one more commercial because this is a freebie, M&Ms. This is a love letter to you. Just a free airtime.
Let's cut to commercial.
So you think Santa will like these red and green M&Ms?
I don't know. I never met the guy. He does exist.
They do exist. Santa?
Amazing. Good job, guys.
We can't actually see what was happening in that commercial, but I would imagine it was some kind of special interaction between Santa and his friends.
It's actually the commercial where they murder Santa.
By accident.
By accident.
Let's go to our next music transition.
Sorry, guys. I'm having to... Give me a second.
Wednesday night, Hollow Earth Theory, discussing it live on the show. Does the Earth have a magma core, or is it just some houses and guys?
Brian the Tech.
How you doing tonight, Brian? I'm good. He said he's good. How are we doing? And I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. We just wanted to make sure that everything was running smooth back there on the Cybertron 3000.
Yeah, Cybertron is live. It's good. To be honest, I was Googling timeshares in the Hollow Earth. At first, I thought it was good. It sounded like a good place I wanted to go. I heard Rainbow City. Professor Steve was talking about Rainbow City. He's talking about the pyramid.
So Brian isn't mic'd, and that's because not that there are classes in there's not economic classes in terms of the Dark of the Night crew, but there are I would say it's more like a military setup.
Well, and it's also sort of ironic that Brian the Tech is the only one not Mike.
Yeah, well, I like to think of Professor Student,
Yes.
me, and you are like three Captain Picards, and Brian the Tech is like Tasha Yar.
Right, Tasha Yar, who it was killed in the first season, unfortunately, but she was hot.
She was hot, and she did sleep with Data. And the other thing is that what Brian was saying before is that he was looking for timeshares in the Hollow Earth, which is a good idea. Let's before we go to our call-ins, Professor Student, is that possible to get a timeshare in the Hollow Earth?
It's a weird housing market right now in the Hollow Earth. I mean, a lot of the main real estate is housed by space warlords, whatever Hitler residue people that were left around, the Shambhala octopus folks. We have lizard people. We have arachnids. We have all sorts of things going on down there. It's a lot. It's tight quarters. We're talking like a project building, but pre-war. So it's still a tenement. So people are sharing one bathroom.
So it's like Tokyo, but filled with lizard people, Nazis, and strange warlord.
Think of a Tokyo made out of mud, and then you take all the technology and replace it with the best, even better technology.
And it sounds like they might all look like CG characters from Attack of the Clones, like that big fat guy who owned a diner.
Absolutely. Especially, and they come like that, and then they also look like the roach guy from the first Men in Black movie.
Folks, we want to hear what you, the Nightcrawlers, have to say out there. So we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines. Brian, if you go ahead and put that number up. Call in. Tell us what you believe is at the center of the Earth. Is it hollow? Is it filled with magma? Is it filled with asbestos? Or is it methamphetamine? Who knows?
Or methambestos.
Sure.
And that's not something that's real. But again,
all bets are on.
All bets are off. I mean, who knows? I mean, look, when Superman crushes a piece of coal, he gets a diamond. So when you crush things under that much gravity, maybe you do get methambestos. You go down there to shack up in a meth hut with a CG squid, and your meth turns into methambestos, and
maybe you're so high that you're creating album art for the first Genesis album.
Let me tell you, whoever drew that map, Professor Student, if that person was not illustrating for either Rush or I don't know. What are some other progressive bands that this?
Yes.
I mean, yes. The band, yes. But that is to say, in the meantime, while we're waiting for calls, shall we hear a little bit more about some of these locations? Tell us about City 2.
Yeah, City 2 is a little bit different. I mean, City 2. So there's City 1. This is City 1. City 1 is constantly getting bombarded and crashed into by the city of Shambhala's loose cannon UFO fighter pilots. So the second city is a little bit more chill. It's located within a forest, really remote, really close to a forest, right next to the ocean of Agartha. And I think they have a nice little peninsula. It's a little bit more chill there. I think the weather might be a little bit more suitable for a human, as they're located in between the central sun and a molten basalt volcano. And I think they have a great access to the above world where we reside, because you have the Pyramid of Giza, you have Mount Impeo in Italy, you have King Solomon's Mines. I mean, they're the vacation destination of all of the Hollow Earth.
I mean, you're making this sound pretty good.
Yeah.
It almost makes me look at my own life, and I'm kind of like, okay, so I hate my job. I'm doing a paranormal talk show that, there's only 10 people watching on Facebook Live, and it took probably an hour and a half to set up all this equipment, and I'm like, why aren't I down there?
Yeah. I mean, Eric, I hate to add insult to injury, but there's also a space base to and from other galaxies. So other people from other galaxies are definitely coming in to vacation.
We've got a call on the line. Let's go ahead and open this. Hello? Oh, we're calling.
We're calling them.
Yes.
Sure.
Sure. We have a policy here on Dark of the Night. If you hang up before we answer, we're going to call you back.
And that's
Hello?
Hello. This is Dark of the Night. Did we miss a call from you?
Absolutely. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Oscar. How you been?
Oscar.
Oscar.
Quick before we get, first of all, thanks for calling. Thanks for accepting our call back.
And thanks for hanging up because
Right on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Oscar, just real quick aside, thank you for blasting my brother's finances into Pluto, because he is not fucking with me anymore. I have not heard from my brother in a long time.
My absolute joy and pleasure.
I mean, a big thanks.
Oscar, we're interested to know from a legal point of view, are there any parts of the Hollow Earth theory that sort of pique your legal interest?
Yeah, I was calling in. It seems like this Hollow Earth place is like a place of like imagination meeting reality,
Right.
And, there's a lot of ideas and creatures, some mythological, some real, that seem to reside in this place. And, it seems like a whirlwind of trademark issues and, lots of, issues regarding like intellectual property, but also actual, legal issues for the creatures and people that live there. So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you were going to make an action figure for all the interesting people that you met down there, how would you trademark those things?
You'd have to have a structure, like an actual legal system that was, respected by all the creatures and people, and obviously Hitler, and he didn't really respect a lot of things, but like you'd have to have some like baseline of like something we could all agree on is like the base for this place, I don't know if that exists down there.
Yeah, I mean, now let's say that when I hear what you're saying, Oscar, about this could be a big issue. Like, let's say there's something down there in Hollow Earth that looks kind of like too much like Dobby from
Harry Potter.
And the Chamber of Secrets, and I want to sue that thing, and I want to go to J.K. Rowling and say, I'm a lawyer and I'm going to sue that Dobby.
Oh, and sue her while you're at it.
Yeah,
that's where the money is.
Yeah, sue both ways. Oh, that's the ticket. So Oscar, maybe that's the angle. Is you represent them, right? You come up here and you represent them, right?
It's a little hard to hear you guys, just a little bit, but I mean, what I'm getting is you want to take some actual like legal action from normal Earth into Hollow Earth, correct?
Well, so the idea that we were just coming up with, Oscar, is that we'd actually we'd go into Hollow Earth and we'd find one of the creatures that looks like it's from Harry Potter, and we say to that creature, you looked like that before she wrote that, so she ripped you off. And so you go to J.K. Rowling and you sue her ass.
And then if you can't get any money there, then you go to the creators of Murder, She Wrote, and you sue Angela Lansbury and everyone else who ever worked with her.
I mean, this presents a whole set of different, opportunities, but also challenges. And as you guys know, I'm up for any of these different adventures and things. I'm ready to test the waters here, but my personal thing is we should start with something rock solid. And I don't know what that would be, but we would probably need an expert to say, hey, look, this is a clear violation of something that's happening right now. We know this is happening. It's a slam dunk case. Something that's just like, we're going to win this thing with our eyes closed. And then we just take that thing and just make it as like an example, and we just like set an example with it. And then we draw in like new clients and people, and we build like an empire down there.
Jesus Christ, that sounds so awesome.
Oscar, I don't want to switch gears on you here, but I did, while we've got you on the phone, I wanted to ask a more above ground, real world question. We've got Professor Student, who we're employing as both a student we're as a professor, and
Yes.
then we're also charging him tuition as a student. And pretty much the only reason we're doing this is because we're writing it all off on our taxes, and we're not paying anything to the federal government. So I just wanted to just run that by you because I'm wondering if there's any issues associated with having that set up, because it's working great for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the deal. Professor student clearly, getting, totally ripped off in various
Wait, what?
ways. But, the way I would analyze this, I would step out of the law and I would look at professor student as sort of like, how much money does this guy actually have to really sue you? And if he came to see me to sue you guys, I would say, how much money do you have to give me to sue them? And he's probably some broke-ass, student. So I'd say, I'm not taking your case. Good luck. Go see someone at legal aid, and he's screwed anyway. So who cares? He takes
Oscar,
advantage.
that's great legal advice. We got another call calling in. We're going to jump off here.
I need
Good
his
luck,
number.
guys.
Hey, Oscar, thanks for calling in. Thanks so much.
God damn, he called me broke ass.
Hey, I just want to say, quick, Professor Student, we don't think you're broke ass.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're making a return call here.
Hello?
Hello, did you call Dark of the Night?
Yeah. What's going on? This is Tony from Staten Island.
Tony from Staten Island. We're pleased to hear the sound of your voice, my friend. What do you think of Hollow Earth theory tonight?
What do I think about what?
Well, what do you? I don't know if you were watching the show or if maybe this was just a missed call or a missed dial. But we were curious if you saw the show tonight, if you were following the Hollow Earth theory.
Oh, yeah. Hollow Earth is definitely what's going on. The Earth is hollow. I don't understand anyone who feels differently about that.
I also don't. I think that here's the thing: when you know the truth, Tony, and I'm the same way about when I know something. When I know something's true, I'd take it a step further. I don't only not understand, but I'm actually furious at anyone who believes that the Earth isn't hollow. I'm fucking angry.
Well, and then if anybody calls me on the phone who runs their own TV show on the internet, I pretend like I don't know who they are, what they're talking about.
Yeah, I totally get that. There's a lot of people out there who say that the Earth is flat, and
Right.
I get that a lot. So it makes a lot of sense. You look out, it looks flat, but really, it's hollow.
It's hollow.
Professor Student,
Hollow as fuck.
there's a lot of people. I've heard this rising tide about flat Earth theory.
Yeah, there's a lot of flat Earth theorists right now.
And so,
Yeah.
are the flat Earth theorists and the hollow Earth theorists squaring off? Are there like turf wars and gang fights, or are they somehow aligned?
I like to call it the battle for Earth. Where
Battlefield Earth. Wasn't that in the L. Ron Hubbard book?
Sure.
Yeah. No. That's yeah. It was. It's a really big debate. But we've seen Earth from space. We know that it is both flat and hollow.
we have not.
we have not.
I mean, you and I don't know.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm speaking. I guess I'm speaking from my own experience.
The plot thickens.
Wow.
An
So
astronaut.
first of all, I guess we should be calling you sir.
Yeah.
Or Esquire.
Yeah. No. I let that slide. That was but yeah. You should be calling me sir.
Sir, do you look? I know you probably get these same stupid, boring questions a lot.
Yeah, I get a lot of stupid, boring questions.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
You know,
and
a lot of people don't really kind of get it. So, That's okay. I'm not. I don't hold that against you.
Thank you, because this question is, I'm just going to warn you before I ask it. It's stupid and boring.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay. When you go to space, do you go just
number 2?
Do I go number 2 in space? Is that your question?
Well, the thing is, I think that's a different. I would say that would be a second question. I think the thing is Eric and I are both very excited.
Number 2 question.
There's a number 2. Yes. Okay, we're having a bit of fun now here right here live on Dark in the Night.
He's
an
jokes.
astronaut. So watch out.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's an astronaut.
I've spent hours in 9G. Humans actually can't live most of the time beyond like about 6G, but I've lived in 9G. And I've gone
2 more
number
Gs.
2 in number 9G. It's a scary experience. But anyway,
so you've
get back to your
gone,
question.
just to back up for 1 second, you've gone number 2 in number 9G. At that point,
at that level of gravity, you run the risk of it just kind of like ripping straight through
the solar system.
Straight through the top of your head.
Most spacecraft they're essentially made out of strong aluminum foil. So when you go number 2 and number 9, that'll just destroy
Number
your
9. Does anybody know that?
Of course.
It's like-
I've gone number 9 before the show.
Have you ever gone number 9?
Have you gone number 9 at 2Gs?
Oh, I mean, number 9 and number 2 is actually pretty easy.
Yeah, once you've gone the other way, then
you're ready to go.
I mean, I'm imagining. Look, so astronauts clearly have easier access to all the numbers of things we people on Earth wish we could go. Like I can't even go number 4, but you rip right up that scale. You're like Goku going Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Compared to us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for someone who hasn't been there before, you have a pretty good handle on it. Yeah. That's pretty much. It's pretty dangerous.
Well, sir, I mean, it's just an honor to get to talk to someone who goes number 9.
Yeah.
Number 2.
We commend you for all the ways you've used the restroom in space and anywhere else you've ever gone. So thank you for calling in and then hanging up and letting us call you back. And we hope to see you in the stars, so they say.
Yeah.
I'll be looking up.
It's been my pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
We wanna check back in with Professor Student.
What's up?
Professor Student, is there anything else that you can add to some of the information that we've been talking about, the Hollow Earth? Have there been any new discoveries?
Have there been any new discoveries within the Hollow Earth?
Or
are you eating a Kit Kat bar, or are you just choking on your tongue?
I was choking on my tongue for a second.
Listen, because Professor Student,
I'm just learning, guys.
We were only yelling at the student.
Right.
Professor, if you could just do something about the student part.
I will reprimand myself.
Please. Is there anything left to learn? I mean, because as big as the Hollow Earth is and as expansive as it is, I feel like we kind of get it. We know it all at this point.
I agree with you guys 100%. And I think that the new frontier is not whether or not what's in our Earth, but what else in our solar system is also hollow. Is our moon hollow? Is it an actual Death Star like we've always believed it's been?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a third. This is unprecedented during this show. I'm going to throw out a third option for what could be in the Earth.
I'm nervous.
I like this.
I am also
because whenever this happens, it's typically right. You're typically right on the money.
I mean, I just had a flash of inspiration. I was playing with my pen and I was listening to it's like, is there anything left to learn? Well, there might be something left to discover. And I wonder if we dug a few inches into the Earth, if we would just find the actual Death Star.
Ooh.
And if we just sort of, like, I'm imagining, like, did anybody ever see Jurassic Park?
I did.
It was a film.
I did. I saw it, I think, in Denver.
Okay. That's good. Because that's the best place.
Sure.
And also, no, but what I'm imagining is there's a scene where they cut to Alan Grant and his crew out in the Badlands with little brushes, sort of painting away dust to uncover bones. And I just wonder if you got one of those little brushes, if we just sort of like painted away the dirt, if we would just find the Death Star.
You know, that's such an interesting theory, and it seems like a whole other show.
And I'm glad you didn't say
cool.
it. I'm glad you didn't say it. And it sounds like horseshit because
Or broke ass.
that was
No.
passive aggressive. That was passive aggressive.
Here on Dark of the Night, we have a policy. We never call anything horseshit.
Horseshit is our F word.
You know, because all theories are true, all theories are good, and all theories are real. So we want to give equal time to any possibility.
So the one thing I'm going to say before we move on to my theory is that I'm pretty sure if the Death Star is in the Earth, Darth Vader is not in there.
No.
Because
he and Hitler are probably off planning their next big caper.
Wow. If Family Guy hasn't done a Darth Vader Hitler joke,
What are they even doing?
Yeah.
Then what is Seth MacFarlane doing on that new sci-fi show that's coming out?
Yeah, it's like, get back to work if you haven't put Darth Vader and Hitler in the same scene.
He's not a leading man, Seth MacFarlane.
It doesn't,
for sure.
yeah, he's not a leading man, because a leading man, it doesn't even have to be a ha-ha funny moment. It just needs to be like, good, you did it.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on.
The fact that they didn't do a Darth Vader Hitler joke in that cowboy movie that he starred in with Charlize Theron, I mean, well, there's no wonder why no one saw that.
Yeah, Charlize Theron. News alert. News alert. We have a new Charlize Theron. Her name's Scarlett Johansson.
You know, folks, we are we're starting something new this show because last week we had a really special call, and so we decided we're going to do this sort of on a regular or semi-regular basis. And it's a segment that is the final call of the night. And so we're going to call someone out there and have a conversation with you out there in cyberspace. This is the Call of Darkness. All right. Brian the Tech is calling somebody somewhere. So we're excited to find out who it is, what they want to say to us.
I'm nervous.
I feel the butterflies.
It's
like the first show.
We aren't. It's not that we don't want to say anything. It's that we're nervous.
Yeah.
We're nervous.
I just got finished reprimanding myself, and I'm still nervous.
Look, Eric.
Okay, here we go. Okay, we're calling.
If you're already a member, please enter your personal ID code or credit card number to get started.
666.
Okay, we don't have a. I'm not.
Welcome back. You must be at least 18 to use this service. Your free trial minutes are over. It's so easy to get back into the action. No matter what you're into, we've got just what you need. There is no charge for setting up an account, and billing for any call doesn't begin until you've chosen a billable section
How are our
of the
free
program.
trial minutes
All
up?
credit card billing is kept strictly confidential
I was
and will appear in your statement as
calling
global. To talk to us.
earlier. I mean, it was just to test it out. I wasn't.
That was a sex line.
I'm assuming.
I mean, you called it.
I mean, you called it already, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
just to test it.
yeah. Just I was.
Yeah.
Somebody had to call and see
No,
if that number
no. I didn't mean that to sound right. Yeah, no, I test stuff all the time.
I mean, I was out on the balcony. It's not like I would
Yeah, you're not gonna
done anything out there.
No, and
onto the street.
Yeah.
We've got another Call of Darkness queued up.
Thank you for calling. Press 2 to continue.
Okay.
What is this?
Oh yeah.
Press 2 to continue.
I mean,
Press 2 at 9Gs.
Welcome to Live Links. You must be 18 or older to continue.
I mean,
Men press 1. Women press 2.
2.
Well, I mean that's very.
Men
I mean,
press
talk
1.
about
Women
talk
to chat
about
with
behind
women
the
right
times.
Now, you're going to need to buy a membership. To join now, press 1. If you're not interested right now, press 2.
Professor Student, do you have a credit card?
I
To
don't.
chat
I'm
with
in a lot
women
of
right
debt.
now, you're going to need to buy a membership. To join.
Is there not a customer helpline?
Let's Brian. Let's call anybody. Anybody other, because I know.
Why were we calling sex hotlines?
I mean, I told Brian to.
You told him.
Call a sex line. Look.
What did you want this to turn into?
Listen, I felt like we're all here. We're all adults. We could all kind of hash out some of our theories with a trained professional, a person whose life and expertise is talking on the phone.
Right.
What better broadcast situation?
Yeah. I did not mean to push you on that.
No,
It was a good.
some of the most intimacy I've ever had has been in the
Thank you
arms
for
of a
calling the Alzheimer's
lady of the-
Association. Gracias por contactar Alzheimer's Asociación. For information
Now we're
about the
talking.
Alzheimer's Association's trial match service and participating in clinical studies, press 1 now.
These people are
Otherwise,
not gonna
please
wanna
stay
talk
on the
about
line
sex.
and one of our representatives will be with you shortly.
Here's my question: if you have Alzheimer's and you call this
All calls are
hotline,
being recorded for quality assurance
Well,
purposes.
guess what?
One
This
of our
call's being
specialists
recorded
will be
also.
with you shortly.
Yeah.
for our own quality assurance.
Right back at you.
I mean, this is a delightful sonata.
I think there's two places on a Wednesday night that I'm going to try calling.
Hello, thank you for calling the Alzheimer's Association. This is Rosie.
Hi,
How may I help you?
Hi, Rosie. This is Dark of the Night calling, and we are.
Sir, I can barely hear you.
Oh, Rosie. Brian, let's crank up the volume a little, tad. Rosie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. How about yourself, sir?
I'm wearing a leather jacket. I've got my hair slicked back, and I'm ready to go. And I've got my partner here with me, and also Professor Student. So we're
all here.
So, what can I do for you tonight?
Okay, well, you called me. How can I
Tou-
help you? This is the
touche.
Alzheimer's Association.
Checkmate, Rosie. My question is, how do I get in on what you're offering here? What's my in?
What's the big?
Okay. Ooh, I hope this is sincerely a serious call as this number here is
Well-
for people that are trying to reach out for help. This is a serious line.
Look,
So now, it's the Alzheimer's Association, so when you ask me that kind of question, it leads me to wonder if this is a legitimate call.
Rosie, let me explain. I also run a call line myself, where I have people calling me who sometimes don't act serious, and so I understand what you're saying, and I want to assure you that I would not violate the sacred trust of someone who's in your situation, because, frankly, I don't want people calling me with bogus stories about aliens and Sasquatch and... Hello?
Here's what I'm doing, because I do hear sniggling in the background. I'm going to go ahead and report this as a call, as an abuse to a hotline. Thank you.
Rosie? Well, Oscar, our lawyer, if you're out there, we might need a little bit of advice right about now because...
Look,
we may be in some hot water.
I was, I don't know if you could have seen me before, but I was signaling. Everything I did was a big signal to...
Well.
Because I knew... I didn't know, but I thought that I said this is what I would personally define as abuse to a hotline. And that's one
step
if there's one thing, if there's one... Look, Nietzsche was right. God is dead, but
there's a sacred trust.
But don't call a hotline. I don't care if you're Buddhist. Don't call a hotline.
Well, folks, that did not go the way that we thought, but we're going to continue to drill in, to push out. We're tired of the calls coming in. We want to project our sort of supernatural phallus, as you might say, into the ether. So we will do another Call of Darkness some other time.
We are going to jail.
Probably. Not me though, right, guys? I'm just a student.
I'm naming all of our names. And I'm going to cut a deal. Because guess what? The world is upside down.
Hey, listen, I just want to point out...
And my world has been turned inside out.
I want to point out that this call was being recorded on their end, too. So they've got some great broadcast on tape somewhere. I want those tapes.
How often do you get... I mean, to play devil's advocate here, how often do you get a phone call that has multiple mics going into it? I mean, what a thrill. I don't care how
high quality.
It's a high quality thrill. And I don't care how much you're thinking to yourself, I'm an adult.
Right.
I'm an adult with real with a job and with real world problems, and some dickbags are wasting my goddamn time. Side by side with that, anger is, wow, 4 mics on one call?
4 mics on one call, and also...
4 mics, one call.
Come on. We didn't even get to the... We didn't even get to patch in a soundtrack.
We were going to do music.
Well, Rosie, you sounded so fun, and then you broke our hearts, which is just kind of a tale as old as time, as they say.
Well, it was one thing that we're good at here at Dark of the Night is a quality debrief when we've been pegged as abusing a hotline. And I think that one thing I do feel good about is that was a good debrief.
Yeah, because transparency is very important when you're paranormal cowboys riding the riders on the storm on the internet.
Yeah, when you're... Yeah, Brian's going to take all the...
Brian, put yourself on camera because we definitely want you to be legally liable for what happened.
Let's edit out this episode. Let's edit us out of this episode and put Brian and animate a mouth over Brian talking sort of like the annoying orange, saying all the things Eric said.
Yeah. It was just a random number. It was a random number, he says.
That is the honest truth.
That's the honest truth.
I picked an 88 number.
Yeah.
FCC, I don't know which agency governs abusive hotlines.
Look.
But
Look.
Brian That was Brian.
Let's all be as scared as we will be when we're in jail now. Right now.
I'm not going to go home tonight. I'm going to sleep here on the floor.
Here's what I'm going to say, officer, is I'm sorry.
I'm going to say hey, look, not me. When I go into that jail, I'm going to say, look, all you big tough guys, back up. Because there's a new pistol in your pocket. You know, I see that on the agenda we've got a secret code. Can we?
Let's go into our first of all. Let's go into our final music transition. Clear the air.
Let's do it.
Tonight's topic is Hollow Earth theory. We're discussing it for over an hour.
Can I ask you a question? Is this what you were doing when, like, none of the mics or anything was set up, and you were in the back room alone?
Well,
I couldn't
can I
use
answer?
your help.
Can I? I don't want to answer that with a simple yes, but I mean, the end of the story I'm about to tell is yes, so I'm just going to say yes. It takes a while to download using clipconverter.cc.
Well.
And I didn't. If you search on YouTube for instrumental tracks, the first few will be karaoke versions. But if you keep searching, people actually record with real instruments.
Well, let me tell you, as frustrated.
That
as
was
I am
Doc of the Bay.
As frustrated as I am right now, I will tell you that if you were going to go with a YouTube downloader, clipconverter.cc is the superior choice. I'm glad to hear you were not using derpy.com because there aren't as many options.
I use SS YouTube.
Well, just don't use Video Grabby because I find it's like a website. It's like a YouTube downloader website that is trying to go viral or something. They have like a funny picture. Don't fuck with me.
Look, is there a secret code?
There's a secret code.
Let's
So,
folks, there's a secret code tonight, and we're excited to share that with you now.
Look.
Brian, was that signal supposed to mean something?
It means
the secret code is up.
Look, the code is Po Guy B Nut M&Ms. And if you can decode that, we'll give you a shout out on the show.
Chances are you will not be able to decode this.
I mean,
because this was encoded with an Enigma machine that belonged to Hitler.
Yeah, he bought it from who's that guy?
Well, Klaus
Kinski.
Right. Yeah. So we challenge you, Nightcrawlers, to decode this. If you figure it out, please message us. Professor Student is manning the boards.
Yeah, don't forget to tell us in your comments if you have the answer to the secret code, or if you have any comments at all. Don't forget to put them in the comments. I am keeping track.
Let's shout out Professor Student. Who's been commenting? Are there people who have?
Yeah, we got Matthew Morris. Shout out to Matthew Morris. He's been doing great.
Mm-hmm.
And some other people. I don't know why I can't see them right now. But it was like some other people for sure.
Facebook sort of a reason. But look.
We got Vin Forte.
Oh, Vin Forte.
We got Michelle Myers.
Good dude.
Christina Pitchford.
Yep.
And then Matthew Morris coming in hot. We got David Kahn.
Look, tonight's been a mind-expanding night, and if my brain was...
Gang. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think we got someone that got the secret code.
Who's that?
Matthew Morris.
Wait, what?
He's a smart guy.
I don't understand.
He went to Brown, I think, maybe?
Matthew Morris, I'm looking in his deep web profile. He has an affinity for flowers.
Sure.
And he indeed goes places.
What did he guess? I bet
He
it's wrong.
guessed go buy peanut M&Ms.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
We
got
did
us.
not expect
Well,
anyone to get
let me just say quick, I'm going to try to do, I did not expect this to happen, and I'm talking and I don't really know what I'm saying. I
did not. We went round and round, and we thought of every possible combination of letters.
Well, you know what? Good for you, Matthew Morris. You made an ass out of me. You made an ass out of this whole show.
And this is going to be our reaction every time we have a secret code, which is going to be tough on us emotionally, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's devastating. It is devastating when you figure out our secret code.
I mean, just imagine Pat Sajak every time on the Wheel of Fortune just going home and just punching his family. So, because we get it.
Yeah, imagine if every time Pat Sajak came out and he was like, "Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?" and just without even a microsecond of reaction time, if someone was like, "They're paying you to say that," he'd be destroyed. But look, tonight's been a big shout out to Matthew Morris for getting "Go Buy Peanut M&Ms" correct. But look,
yeah, folks, we've got one final segment of the night, as always. It's a little segment that we call The Dark Truth. Brian, if we could get that Nightmare on Elm Street music cooking, and if my camera's on. Folks, we've heard a lot of things tonight. We've thought about a lot of things. And they've been spooky. They've been scary. They've involved theories about the earth we walk around on every single day. And there's no telling what's at the core of the earth. There's no telling what's at the core of any one of us. Because the soul of man are deep waters. And if you plunge your hand into a man's heart, it stops beating. Folks, I don't know if I'm legally responsible for talking to that Alzheimer hotline. I don't know if I'll go to jail. I don't know if I'll go to prison. I don't know if I'll have to call somebody Papa in Pelican Bay. But I do know this. I'm scared straight.
Brian, let's cut to my camera. I am going to jail. And I am going to die there. And when I do die, I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to kick myself. Because that wasn't the plan. Whoops 2000. Because guess what? When I die in jail, let me put it this way, if my life was a website, it would be made on Angel Fire. And it would just be a fan page for Austin Powers for no reason. It's just not a good website, and it wasn't a good life. So I just want to say right now, for the record, legally, I did have a good time tonight, and I really regret it.
Folks, I just broke this mic stand, and then right after that I put it back together again. And it all happened while you were watching Alex talk. And that's the magic of television. Similarly, our Earth might be just a cocoon filled with the beating heart of another civilization we haven't scratched the surface of yet. Sure, we might be evading taxes by hiring a person to teach themselves and writing it off to to the IRS, but will they catch us? I don't know. My life is already rock bottom. So what could they possibly do to me to make it any worse? I don't know.
Look, everybody. Instead of going to meetings at work, I sit in the bathroom. We want to thank you for watching tonight.
Thank you so much, folks. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Brian, our tech. Thank you, Professor Student.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
For your expertise, for being the one member of the Dark of the Night Institute. Still accepting students and applicants for professors.
Yeah.
And adjunct professors.
I dream of a day when we've got Professor Student teaching his own student, and we've got a professor teaching Professor Student. That would be a success for me, and that I could die happy, even though childless. So, folks, we'll see you next week.
And remember, Pi will thank you.
Good night, folks.
Good night.